bring up the other live thing.
Mate, I think we're going live.
Is it Joe? Yeah, there we go.
That's us, mate. Let me check if we're live yet.
We are. We're about to get started.
Yes, we are, Ange. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everyone.
Another evening with Angelo Goutzios and myself, Stevan Bubalo, coming to you guys live from Novak HQ here in DY. And a really interesting topic tonight, which no doubt you've probably heard a lot about lately, is COVID. Okay, we've been hearing a lot about it in the last 6 months. God, it might even be more, Ange. God, it seems like forever now. But the last 6 months, and if anyone was following any kind of a date routine, September was the earmarked time frame for the end of the JobKeeper here in Australia, if you're looking overseas, but particularly here in New South Wales. Doom and gloom predicted across the state, across the city, across the financial markets, the economy, and property. And look, we're a few weeks out from September, and what can I tell you? Things aren't too bad out here. Angelo, you yourself, now we were talking upstairs, we're talking here in the office with some of the colleagues, and really what we wanted to talk to you guys about tonight was the extension, first and foremost, to this job keeper payment that the government's introduced, and secondly, just more about COVID, what we've learned, what we're expecting in the marketplace, and things ahead as well. I'll just quickly touch on the extension. So JobKeeper was predicted to be coming to an end now in September. It's been moved forward to March 2021. So everything moved forward. Does that mean the end of the world's going to happen in March? Again, no doubt the media will tell you that. But if today's anything to go by, I think we've done pretty well. And what's your take on COVID? How do you think we performed, in that first wave? I guess we were talking about waves with COVID. What have you seen in the world?
Look, I think no one knew what to expect. So I think the first wave was the hardest brunt of it all, where you're pretty much looking at no one knew what is COVID.
What is it?
It was very hard to, I think, first time around. And I think coming this second time, what I felt, I think everyone's slightly prepared. You look at, we're right next to a furniture store, office furniture store, that is, I should say.
Mm.
And you look at their, we had a chat to them a couple months back, and they said, straight after the first wave, their biggest seller was on office furniture, but actually, fit outs, obviously, with offices and things like that was almost zero, and they're now fitting out homes. Mm. So with people getting more comfier there, and you look at the amount of office buildings at the moment that are still empty and will be empty for, possibly even years now to come. So I think there's a lot of there's a lot of people adapting to the new way that now we've got to do now with business in general. And as I think overall the worst has come in that scenario. So it's how long I guess we can drag this out there. There's possibly we're having a chat with a few staff here saying that second and third, and this. Until there is an actual vaccine, it's all confirmed and everything, we could be up to sort of round 3 and round 4 in regards to waves.
I reckon that's a good point. I think there's a few waves, like you said. Wave 1 was, when was that?
I reckon March. I reckon mid-March. I always remember from the Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah.
So it was the 13th, 14th, because that was, I think, the biggest hit for Australia. It's one of the biggest sporting events in the country, being the Melbourne Grand Prix. To completely be cancelled.
That would have been one of the first ones, I think, to be cancelled.
Yeah.
But you're right. So wave 1, like you're saying, we didn't know what to expect. We as a country, we as individuals, we as real estate agents didn't know how it would affect our industry. We came out pretty good, I think. Look, I should rephrase that. Look, there's been obviously a terrible loss of life out there, but overall, economically, I think we've come out okay. That was phase 1. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know how we'd be affected, how our families would be affected. I know a lot of us in the office were looking at how much we spend, week in, week out, what we deemed essential services, you know, and the things we didn't need, we kind of put to the side and focused on what we did need, and we progressed pretty strongly.
Yeah.
And the good thing is we learned from that. We as an industry, as agents, and no doubt you guys watching at home, you know, in the industries you work in have learned. And for now, there was this prediction that September was going to be, we'll call it wave 2 of COVID. And I think with this JobKeeper pushed out, it might be a little bit later on. But you know what? There's confidence knowing that we made it through the first one with very little knowledge behind us. We've made adjustments to our businesses, to our models, to the way we work. And now wave 2 is going to come. There's no doubt about it. But we're so much better off and well prepared for it. And like you said, Angelo, the gentleman next door, Kelly's Office Furniture here, doing a record number of sales for furniture, office furniture, but going into homes now instead of offices. So
there's a lot of business. Look, at the end of the day, to keep the economy going, you know, you look overall, and there are a lot of businesses that can't financially continue because of what we've just gone through and what we are going through at the moment. But I think that there are a lot of other businesses as well that have been created, or other jobs, I should say, that have been created as well. And a lot of jobs have just adapted the way they're doing things, which is pretty good. Like we have adapted in regards to, you know, is virtual inspections now sort of the way of the future. Just with a lot of it, and even with greeting people, it's a bit awkward because now you sort of go to shake someone's hand and it's like you can't. I mean, is the elbow bump going to stay, or we don't know?
Our masks.
We're going in with masks. Ready. So it's a tough thing. You know, one thing interesting which I think overall is what's going to happen to Sydney as far as the CBD goes. And you know, right now, you know, I went there the other day to it for an exchange, and I remember it was it just felt like a bit of a ghost town. And this is on a Friday arvo where things would be buzzing, people would be going for drinks, and there's a lot of office buildings where companies had 5 or 6 floors of an entire building, and now they've merged all into one floor, and people working from out of office. So, and they've obviously gotten rid of a lot of staff. So all these office buildings now, is it going to be? I'm just interested to know: are these going to be getting turned into some residential apartments? Possibly. Yeah. You know, you just don't know financially to run those buildings now. It's interesting what is going to happen over the coming years, but I think we had a bit of a discussion earlier about. I think that we're also pretty lucky here, I guess, on the beaches where we are quite a bit away of the city.
Well, that's a good point, Ange, because when you think about, we're quite fortunate in that in Australia, our city model is a little bit different to the European models, where everybody lives in the centre of town or in the CBDs of these European cities. And you're right, when we saw that first wave of lockdowns, it was pretty much we're locking down the CBD. It really took a big hit, obviously, on businesses there. But we were fortunate that the majority of us don't live in the CBD. So we live out. And I think this has been huge for particularly, I mean, we're quite fortunate we get to work in such beautiful areas and all the beaches, but there's a comfort knowing that there's a bit of distance between the northern beaches and the city. And I think people, as they've gone home, they've realised, you know what, we're not locked down in our homes. Obviously, we had to be much stricter, but they've realised, hey, what a great spot it is that we live in. We're not in this epicentre that's locked down and shuts our lives down, but we can move out and still enjoy our lives pretty freely in such a beautiful part of Sydney. And I think that's probably reflected, I'm taking it back to real estate now, but that's reflected in our property values and in our property cycle. And this is kind of what this evening's video was about. Our property cycle took a little bit of a nudge, took a hit. Ange, you would agree?
Yep. Yep.
How much do you then get moved on an apartment? We probably came back. We probably had an adjustment in the market of what, 50,000, 100,000 at one point in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think that adjustment was purely out of panic, though. Yeah. I don't think it's an adjustment to say it's something that, look, the market moved since COVID started. Yeah. If you look at the moment, a sale that might have happened in January or February to today, I would comfortably say that I think there hasn't been much movement. there has been on some homes. I've noticed the housing market, there might have been a small 5% adjustment overall, but I think the demand has gone up. I know that even prior to COVID, there was a lot of people looking out and about, but compared to at the moment, we're getting a lot more people buying with heart. And what I mean by that is there's not as many investors out there purely looking at figures. Whereas before, I'd almost say it used to be almost 50-50 around DY or surrounding suburbs. Now I'm finding that it's almost probably 80 to 90% owner occupiers, first home buyers, people that are just absolutely over living in an apartment living to go. They need that yard because they're like, what happened if we get to stage 2 and stage 3? I need more room than just a balcony. I need some yard. And there's people actually moving out for their own reasons. There's people decide to sell their homes to downsize. There's just I'm finding it's a different type of buyer than what there was prior to pre-COVID.
But prices are pretty good, you say?
Yeah, prices are, and days on market, I think, that's what we look at. Days on market in regards to how long from when we pretty much get a contract of sale that we're able to sell a property, and from when it moves, as long as it's priced right, and the price of market value conservative, they're moving within a week, 2, 3 at the most.
I was kind of saying that it's probably, and I might be wrong, but this is my own theory on it, is that as we've moved out of the CBD for our work life, and we've moved into our homes for our work life, I think that's helped keep property values.
Yeah.
It's not that we had to leave our home lives to go to another area, because that would have had a drastic effect on property prices, but we've gone out and back home, to work, and we've combined it pretty successfully. I think that's held values really good. The other thing that you touched on, Angelo, is obviously with wave 1 behind us, and quite a surprising and a scary kind of moment for a lot of Australians, we're much better prepared for stage 2. So like you said, we've got masks, we've got sanitizer, we know everything's going, went back to by appointment viewings for a short period. There were no open homes, everything was by appointment viewings. So if there is a stage 2, come time to execute anything that the state government believes we need to put in place, a lot of us are going to be ready for it. And I think that's only going to advantage us in the way that we come back out and we start promoting, selling, working with buyers and sellers individually. And I believe that the first wave cut the deepest, but the second one isn't going to cut as deep, neither will the third or the fourth. If there is a third and a fourth, hopefully not. But if I can take any piece of good news out of it, is that we're better prepared, we're better educated. The market has remained strong. We were identified during COVID as being an essential service. Housing, obviously one of the primary, services required by all Australians. Investors, I'm still, shocked, well, not shocked, but awed by the amount of work done by property managers in this industry throughout this COVID period. They handled it so well, in light of what they were facing with tenants. And, these guys grew exponentially, knowledge and skill and the ability to manage now these homes. That come stage 2, I'm very confident in what our team can achieve under a restricted circumstance, and I think most agents are as well. So I don't think we're in for look. It's by no means are we out of this COVID situation, but I think there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel, and the grass is definitely getting greener.
Look, I think overall, and summing up the pricing side of things, and I guess we are talking about Sydney, by the way, here.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
So I mean, sorry, Melbourne. You look at it's absolutely terrible what is going on there as well, and they're already in the stage 2. Of a complete shutdown. So I guess at the same time, you've also got to look at Sydney as a greater picture, and again, we're talking about the beaches, and the beaches have been doing fantastic, and I think that's pretty important. And it comes down to when you're buying a property, the fact that you're practically on the beach.
Yeah,
you're within. I guess, is it the importance now of CBD as much at the moment? I mean, it's still going to be our Sydney venues.
Good point.
Is that going to take an effect that people need to be? If they are going to be working from home, can they venture out now? Are people going to go now buy something more cheaper or sell properties here? Because I'm finding as well, there's some recent ones I've sold. 2 of my owners actually in Pacific Parade, 2 different separate households. They both sold a unit here for quite relatively good money.
Yeah,
took their money out and have gone and bought up, close Central Coast, I should say, as close to Sydney as possible, but and going into houses there where they've got the room, their work doesn't now evolve or require them to be close to the city.
I reckon there's something there, Angelo. Definitely. Like, you have a look at these markets, and I'm not predicting there's going to be huge market shifts, but when we look at, we're on the northern beaches, okay, moving closer to the city, we've got the lower North Shore, and you've got obviously key areas like Mossman and Cremorne and these markets. Now, they've always attracted good value because of the proximity to the city. But if people aren't going to work in town as often as they were, and they're working at home, they will settle more likely for lifestyle over the proximity. I'm just saying that might look to increase property values now from a greater radius, because they're looking at the convenience of lifestyle and the homes offering, good value. I hope I'm right, but you're going to see buyers moving out and looking further abroad for homes that tick their family needs, not so much as just their, run to town or run business needs.
But up until recently, people say, and you've got to also look at the amount of people moving into the country and moving into Australia. There was close at a stage at close to sort of 1,800 people a week moving into this to the state. So they all need housing, they all need somewhere to live, and also the area that you're buying. I think we're very lucky here on the beach is the fact that we don't actually have a lot of off the plan, a lot of infrastructure in regards to new development and new housing. That is also keeping prices pretty good and pretty strong.
There's not a huge surplus of new property.
Yeah, like you've got, for example, areas such as Zetland, such as if there are a lot, and there are some areas such as Green Square at the moment, which there's quite a few new developments going on there. The off-the-plan market is a slight uncertain market at the moment, and we're finding there's only 1 or 2 developments going up at the moment around DY. And just because it's something that you put a deposit down now, but there's a very, very long time.
It's a long game
until the building's finished, and it's just uncertain to how things are in because the good thing at the moment with buying a second-hand property, you sell something, you buy something within 6 weeks, and a transaction's done generally within a settlement. So right now, money's cheap from the banks, and to get loans at the moment out there, 2.2, 2.5, if not less.
Whereas repayments are meeting current rents.
So it's amazing that interest rates are low. I think, as you touch on, Steve, the earlier you look at what what your actually essentials are, and what things that you can cut out of your life that you might not need to, just in case, as far as financial extra spending. And what's important to you. And once you cut that out, you're not going on holidays this year, and which a lot aren't, those European holidays, and spending $20,000, $30,000. People are actually investing that back into renovations. So a lot of the tradespeople we speak to are absolutely flooded with work, because they're just, if someone's still making and still has the job and still making a nice income there, it's something to sort of pull back. They're like, well, we're saving here and that, so why not renovate our bathroom? So there's all that as well.
I think that's good for us too, on a cheeky note, that now that once this whole COVID scenario passes, we're going to have a whole run of beautifully renovated properties to sell you guys.
Spot on. or even better, if you're if your property's vacant, spend a bit of money on it. Spruce it up. Do a little, even at the moment, we've got some of our handymen that are actually doing flat pack kitchens and netting up kitchens and renovating them a bit to maximise. And because I know more on the rental side, especially, the number one key is people want fresh, people want new. So it's sometimes, especially if your property's on the market for a couple of weeks and it is vacant, even though our vacancy rates are pretty good at the moment based on COVID, and prices on the rental market have not pulled back a lot, which is also good. But it's maybe a good time to actually do a little bit of a renovation and get that extra $50 a week if you can.
Yeah, I agree. Something I was going to harp on as well is just this evening, I've had a lengthy conversation with a tenant, believe it or not, and the tenant is in a property that I'm just about to bring to market. And speaking with them, fantastic people, really, really nice people. They said to me, Stevan, look, can you give us any tips? Moving into, they've gone out, they've got pre-approval. We spoke about potentially buying the home that they're renting, but It doesn't suit, what their future plans are. But they said, look, can you give us some tips about what we can do or what we're facing in the current marketplace? And I said to them, guys, and this might just be a personal, view of things, Angelo. I'd love to get your feedback on this as well. But I said to them, I'm meeting a lot of buyers at open homes. They're pre-approved, so they're ticking all the boxes. They've been to the bank, they're ready to buy. But I'm finding out of, say, 10 buyers, probably 6 of them are a little bit hesitant. And they're taking a little bit longer to just come in with their best offers or to put in an offer. They're still saying to me, look, COVID's this thing that's looming. And there are phenomenal properties out there getting snapped up at great prices. And I mean, great prices at great buying value. And I said to this tenant, what do you need? And they ran through the criteria. And I said, guys, the best advice I can give you is do your research so that you're comfortable making a buying decision first and foremost. But if you see a home you like, go for it on the day, because out of 10 buyers, 6 of them, unfortunately, they're probably going to drag their feet for 3 or 4 days. And you've got this great window that if you're ready and prepared to buy, you can jump in and buy a good home at a great price now. Yep. And I think there's great value in the market. We spoke about security. I like the fact that we're not right in the CBD. So if there is a lockdown, we've got that distance, that separation. There's comfort and security that comes with that as well. But, I think it's a great time to be buying property.
I agree.
Apartments as well. Guys, if you're looking for an apartment, I can't remember a better market to buy one. In the last 10 years out there.
Agree. No, it's, and there's, look, that's another big thing as well to look at. One thing that is holding price at the moment very strong is, look, it is the lack of supply. It's always been spring that, I've always like to go against the grain, and I always tell my owners winter's the best time to put on the market. Look, I think as long as I know we are on the beach and properties present nice, you've got that warmth and showing a property. But you know what? Like at the end of the day, I always like to go on the market when there's less competition, because at the end of the day, that's more important than spring where you might have 30, 40. Now, saying that about spring, last spring was the first spring that actually did not have a lot of properties come on the market. So it's going to be an interesting time at the moment in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months, I should say, if there is going to be a mass surge of properties come on the market or not. At the moment as well, I mean, what's on the market? Because realistically, we always like to look at realestate.com portals, being, one of the biggest portals to use.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other portals, like we use a lot of our own social media portals. And then you've got off market, which off market technically, is a property that's, or what agents like to use, pretty much saying that it's not advertised on Real Estate or Domain. So you've got a lot of other properties that some buyers don't know about. So, overall at the moment, properties on realestate.com and Domain are very low. So all buyers at the moment looking out there in the market, look at your average, trying to find a 1-bedroom in DY at the moment, I can tell you now, there's not more than 7 or 8 available for sale in the whole suburb, where there's 9,500 properties. So, look, overall, it is a great time to buy. It's going to be interesting times ahead, but I think it's going to be strong times, and I don't think it's slowing down anytime soon.
No, I think right now we're going to look back in probably 3 or 4 years' time and say, this was the time to buy. Between now and I believe the end of the year, there's a great buying window. If you're ready to, anywhere in New South Wales. Unfortunately, I can't comment on the other suburb states. I don't know them that well for only that reason. But if you are looking to buy a property in New South Wales, I think right now, between now and the end of 2020, it's going to represent good buying value.
Great.
So I honestly think if this COVID is sorted by the end of the year, which I hope by everything it is, we're going to see a good trend and an increase in property prices.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks very much. Hope you guys enjoyed it tonight.
Yep.
Any questions at all, feel free. Even we're happy to put down in the comments there, and we'll answer them as well tonight.
Yep.
But hope you enjoyed it, and guys, keep buying.
Thank you, guys. Take care. We'll see you out there. Thank you.